Kayla, my sister-in-law, tried to poison me at my husband's party after we announced my pregnancy, but it backfired horribly. Now, she's facing jail time while also getting divorced. I'm 29, and have been married to my husband Harry for the past 7 years. I love everything about our marriage, except for the fact that he's related to his sister Kayla, who brings all the negativity into our lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I used to love Kayla when I first met her, but over time I quickly changed my opinion. She's really negative, manipulative, and toxic. I've worked hard for years to avoid getting on her bad side because I know the kind of person she is. In the past, when my husband was 17, he dated Syl's best friend. Later, they broke up because he felt pressured to be with her because of Syl. When he turned 23 and was single, his sister insisted that he and her other friend should be together, but he refused. They had a huge fight, and she went crying to their parents about wanting him to marry someone she felt comfortable with, but his parents didn't really listen to her. When Harry and I met and fell in love, his parents were very supportive, but Syl always treated me coldly when I was around. She would constantly bring up Harry's exes for no reason, telling him how well they were doing and how he should get back in touch with them. This went on for a while, and I wasn't the only one who found it weird. Harry thought it was strange too. He would ask her not to bring up his exes all the time. Syl would then get angry and start taunting me, saying I was getting jealous and that he shouldn't be with an insecure person like me. Whenever his parents called us for dinner, Syl would make a point of bringing up one of Harry's exes, telling us how she just stumbled into them that day by accident and felt she had to invite them to dinner out of politeness. She also checks my Instagram relentlessly, even though she doesn't follow me. I have a public account, so I've noticed how she's the first person to check my story. If a guy comments on my photo, she would then go to her brother and complain that I was posting inappropriate pictures of myself. Harry and I would literally just laugh at her accusations. When Harry and I decided to move in together, she urged him to break up with me, telling him I had a lot of flaws as a woman and that she could find someone much, much better than me. This comment honestly hurt me, since I had been nothing but nice to her throughout everything. Unfortunately, as soon as Harry and I got engaged, Syl's behavior got even worse. When we announced our engagement, everyone started congratulating us. I noticed Kayla was very quiet, then she got up from her chair and walked out of our party, to everyone's shock. Later, she called Harry crying and screaming about how she didn't appreciate being told the news with everyone else, since she thought he was the closest to her and she deserved to be the first one to know about his engagement. Later, she sent me a message that was almost borderline threatening, saying I should be a good wife to her brother since she had always been the only woman in his life. The message was so weird that I almost cringed. I didn't even bother replying and left her message unread, which I know must have made her even angrier. Syl started gradually ignoring me anytime she saw me. For some reason, she remained involved in all the wedding activities, like when I went dress shopping and had my bridal shower. She became even more critical of the wedding, openly saying she didn't like my choices, despite both my future mother-in-law and Harry calling her out on it multiple times. Her behavior persisted. One day, while discussing the centerpieces with my future mother-in-law, Kayla overheard and immediately started mocking me, saying my choice had no class and this was why she wanted her brother to marry someone better. That was the breaking point for me, and I lost my composure. I screamed at her that I couldn't tolerate her constant taunts and criticisms any longer, and I made it clear to her that she was no longer invited to our wedding. Kayla was shocked, gasping in disbelief, as if she had never expected me to stand up to her. Even my mother-in-law was furious with her and supported me. Later, Kayla reached out to Harry, complaining about how I embarrassed her and insisting that he should control me since I was going to be his wife. Harry firmly told her that he supported my decision and that if she didn't apologize, she wouldn't be invited to the wedding. Grudgingly, she sent me an apology, which I saw and again left unread. With my wedding preparations, I was already exhausted and didn't want to be involved in her drama. In the end, she did end up coming to our wedding because I didn't want her talking badly about us later. Now, our wedding had a certain theme of pink hues and pastels, which everyone seemed to follow easily, including the guests. However, Syl showed up wearing a floor-length black gown with a veil, like she was coming to a funeral. We were shocked, to say the least. Syl went around telling everyone how she was mourning, losing her brother to another woman. During the reception, Harry could see that I was uncomfortable with Syl's wedding outfit and confronted her about it. She tried to play the victim, saying she had the right to wear whatever she wanted and that I was too controlling. In the end, Mill and Phil asked her to leave when she wouldn't stop making a scene. It was humiliating for me, and ever since that day, I have stayed away from her. When I gave birth to our son Nate, I refused to allow Syl anywhere near our baby. She did try to fight it, but my husband and his parents had my back. They understood exactly why I didn't want Syl near my baby and respected my decision. 2 years ago, Syl had a miscarriage with her then-boyfriend Jamie, and it completely broke her. It was indeed a sad time for everyone. Harry and I felt sad for her, especially since we already had a child. So after her miscarriage, we decided to be a little more forgiving. We would invite her to our place so she could bond with our son Nate. I have to say that she has been surprisingly sweet to our son despite how she acts towards me. In the beginning, she seemed to have changed, but over time she had gone right back to being her old self. She's always talking about how hard her life is, how things never seem to work out for her, blaming ex-bosses or ex-friends for messing things up. Over time, I've noticed that in her mind, she's never wrong. She rarely admits she's at fault in arguments and is always trying to get people on her side by playing the victim. This year, she decided to get married and invited everyone except us. Harry was shocked to find out we weren't invited since our relationship seemed better. When we questioned her about it, she started saying she couldn't let me come because I might do something to steal attention from her wedding. I called and asked her why she would think something like that when I've never done anything to her. Kayla started saying how she had, knowingly, worn all black to our wedding, so now she was afraid I might do the same thing, and this is why she didn't want me at her wedding. I was furious about how manipulative she was and straight up told Harry about this. Harry talked with his parents, and they decided to tell Sil that they would neither pay for the wedding nor would they be attending. This made Sil cry, and she started blaming me for causing this mess. Harry informed her that she had shamelessly admitted her own mistake, so she had no right to point fingers at me. But Kayla justified her action by saying our wedding happened a long time ago and I should just get over it. Later, since Phil and Mill were still refusing to pay for her wedding, she reached out to apologize to me and beg for forgiveness. I hate to admit this, but Kayla can be very sweet and convincing when she wants something. I forgave her and wanted to just move on from the past. Her wedding with Jamie went well. We all attended and had a good time. Not even 6 months later, Kayla was at our doorstep complaining about how her marriage was falling apart. Harry and I let her stay with us for a few days, where she would vent for hours about her husband. They seemed to be having trouble getting pregnant, and Kayla was clearly blaming Jamie for everything. I tried to talk to Kayla, but she was certain it was all her husband's fault. When she wasn't complaining about her husband, she would focus intensely on our lives and try to invent things that weren't true. For example, I generally go to the gym every morning before going to work. Sometimes when I'm running late, I take my work clothes so I can finish my workout, shower, and change into my work clothes. Sil noticed this for some time and would ask me a lot of questions about it, like why I was showering or why I even needed to go to the gym at all. I didn't think much about it and would tell her how I liked keeping my weight down and didn't like going to the office all sweaty. She would purse her lips and nod. Eventually, things got okay with Jamie and she went back to living with him. On a weekend, Harry and I went to have lunch with Mill and Phil. Sil and Jamie had also been invited. We left our son Nate with a babysitter since he usually got bored when adults would talk for a long time and wanted to stay at home and play. During lunch, Mill was telling us about how one of her friends was currently divorced. She was telling us about how her friend's husband cheated on her, so she left him and took half of his assets. Sil suddenly interrupted her to ask my husband if we had signed a prenup before getting married. We stopped eating to look at her. She acted like I wasn't even there and looked at my husband expectantly. My husband isn't someone who holds back, so he told her straight up that since we both made good money, we didn't see a reason for a prenup. Sil snorted and started to say how there are lots of cheaters out there and that he could be blindsided any day. I was offended by her words and asked her exactly what she was trying to say. Sil then started saying I was definitely meeting up with someone since I always carried a change of clothes everywhere, and as Harry's sister, it was her duty to warn her brother. I was shocked to hear these words. Phil and Mill immediately came to the rescue and told her off immediately to stop making things up and to mind her own business. Without missing a beat, she went on to say she was just trying to be there for her brother, and then she joked about whether our son, Nate, was really Harry's son since he didn't look exactly like him. I swear I saw my husband's face turn red with anger. I've never seen him that angry in my life. He looked Kayla straight in the eye and told her this is why she wasn't a mother yet, because she didn't deserve to be one, and her child was better off in heaven than with someone like her. Kayla's mouth hung open in shock. Mill and Phil just stared quietly as Harry really told Kayla off. He said she was a shameless person who tried to ruin everything because she had nothing good going on in her own life, and that she was just a lazy wife who did nothing all day while her husband worked hard. He continued to say that instead of pointing fingers at me and asking about prenups, she should worry about her own marriage, since she was clearly just projecting. Kayla burst into tears and started sobbing. She looked at Jamie, who was sitting right next to her, for support, but he didn't say a word. I have never seen my husband lose it like that. In the end, she got up from her chair to run into the bathroom. Harry was fuming. Mill came over to calm Harry down while I rubbed his hand. He told me how sorry he was for what his sister said about our son, and I nodded because I understood how frustrating she could be. I was kind of glad Harry stood up for me like that in front of everyone, since I had taken enough from Kayla over the years. After he calmed down, he apologized to Jamie but ignored Kayla completely. After lunch that day, we went back to not talking to Kayla. Her behavior was not only affecting me, but it was also affecting my husband. We just blocked her from everywhere so she couldn't reach out to us. Mill and Phil talked to us about the lunch and agreed that Kayla had gone too far this time. They could see how their son, who was usually so calm, had completely lost it after Kayla kept pushing him. It has been a year now since we have talked with her, and things have been going smoothly. 2 months ago, I found out that I was pregnant. This was a complete surprise as we weren't even trying. Harry and I feel incredibly blessed to be welcoming another family member. We were waiting for the right time to inform everyone and decided to reveal it on Harry's birthday. Mill and Phil wanted to celebrate Harry, so they were having a big party for him in their backyard. Our close family and friends were invited. Sil must have heard about it from others and decided to show up. Harry and I were shocked to see her. Sil came over and hugged Harry, telling him how much she had missed him and how sorry she was about their last conversation. Harry took my hand and told his sister that she should be apologizing to me since she had attacked my character. Sil nodded, turned to me, and apologized. She told me how she had been going to therapy for a few months and had realized how wrong it was for her to humiliate me like that. I didn't believe a word she was saying, but I didn't want to be rude in front of everyone, so I just nodded. Mill and Phil checked on us and said they had no idea she was coming. They assured us that if we weren't comfortable, they would ask her to leave, since it was Harry's party. But Harry didn't want to make a scene, so we agreed to let it go. Throughout the party, I noticed Sil laughing and talking with everyone, which was a bit strange. She seemed overly positive, which wasn't like her at all. But she had mentioned therapy, so I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. When it was time to cut the cake, Harry gave a sweet speech about how he felt like the luckiest guy in the world, grateful for another year with a wife like me. His words made me blush with happiness. I couldn't help but appreciate that my husband and I were still just as deeply in love as we were when we first started dating years ago. Then, Harry and I decided to share some exciting news. With smiles on our faces, we announced we were expecting a baby. Everyone took a moment to let it sink in before cheering happily. My mom started crying and came over to hug me. Mill and Phil had tears in their eyes as they congratulated both of us. Everyone was so happy for us and excitedly asked if we'd thought of baby names. The only one who didn't react was Sil. She just looked stunned. I thought maybe she was taking time to process, but then her expression changed, and she just walked away from us looking angry. I was a bit worried, thinking she was going to ruin yet another celebration for us, but I got distracted with other people coming over to talk to me. When it was time to serve lunch, I got up to help my in-laws bring the food out, but my parents and Mill and Phil urged me to remain seated, telling me I shouldn't lift a finger during this time. I was sitting in my seat patiently waiting for Harry to bring me a plate when Sil came up to me beaming. She had a plate of food in her hands and handed it to me, announcing loudly that she, personally, wanted to serve me food because she was so happy about my pregnancy. As she handed me the plate, she even commented on how she wanted to make up for all the times she'd been rude to me in the past. I nodded and graciously accepted. She then walked away. As I was about to dig in, I thankfully noticed that she had put shrimp on my plate. It's pretty well known in my family that I'm highly allergic to shrimp, so I was shocked that Sil even served me this. I shook my head, feeling disappointed, and got up to get my own food. Just then, Jamie came over to congratulate me on my pregnancy. We talked for a bit, and he asked why I wasn't eating. I pointed out that Sil had served me shrimp, probably by mistake. Jamie told me not to worry and took the plate from me. He said he could have it since he liked shrimp, and I could get a new plate for myself. I smiled, nodded, and walked away. It was not even 5 minutes later when Jamie started throwing up and gagging over the plate. Everyone stopped eating, concerned, and stared at him as he struggled to get up from his seat. Harry and Kayla rushed over to him, worried. Jamie pointed at his plate and then at his throat. Our eyes widened as we realized something was seriously wrong with him because of what he'd eaten. Jamie then fainted and everyone gasped in shock and concern. Kayla rushed to check his plate and her eyes widened in shock. She turned to me and asked if I had given her husband my plate, and I nodded. Amidst the chaos, someone called for an ambulance, and he was rushed to the hospital. Kayla cried nonstop through all of this and kept looking at me angrily. Later, we were told that Jamie had been poisoned. I almost fainted when I heard this, since I knew, unlike everyone else, that the plate was originally meant for me. Whatever poison it was could have poisoned me and my baby. Harry, Mill, Phil, and my parents didn't know this yet. The police were called to take the food Jamie ate as evidence, since no one knew what was in it that caused him to collapse like that. As I'm writing this, Jamie is still recovering in the hospital. Kayla stayed with him overnight. Harry and I have been answering calls from relatives who are asking what happened to Jamie and who could have possibly poisoned him. Mill and Phil are shaken up by what happened and are staying at our place, as they're afraid to go back to their own house. No one has any idea what happened, especially since everything was going so well. I'm so scared to tell everyone that the plate was originally mine and that Kayla came and served it to me. If this turns into a police investigation, I'll have to tell the truth. I feel incredibly guilty about what happened, but more importantly, I'm now extremely worried about what my sister-in-law might do to me. She clearly had no problem trying to poison me. I don't want to be anywhere near her, and I definitely can't let my children be near her. I feel awful for giving that plate to Jamie and for potentially poisoning him. Update 1. Wow, thank you for the thousands of comments on this post in just a matter of a few hours. I never imagined I could have gotten this many responses. My hands were shaking when I typed this earlier, and I haven't been able to sleep. Despite what everyone is saying, I do feel somewhat responsible for what happened to Jamie. I should have just thrown the plate away, but I don't know why I let him take it from me. I keep crying, thinking about what might happen to him. Harry knows something is wrong and has been staying close to me. He thinks I'm just worried, but he has no idea what I know about his sister. I agree with the comments that I need to sit down and talk to everyone calmly. I don't know if everyone will believe me, but Mill and Phil have security cameras installed all around their house. Since the birthday party was in their backyard, I'm sure they can check the cameras and see that Kayla was the one who offered me that plate. I'm going to talk to everyone tonight and then update. Update 2. So we talked, and I'm so grateful to have the best in-laws in this world. Since Mill and Phil are already staying over with us, I sat down with them and Harry during dinner to tell them that I had something important to talk about. I started by taking a deep breath, the weight of the situation heavy on my shoulders. With everyone gathered around, I told them exactly what happened at the birthday party. I explained how Sil had served me a plate with shrimp and how Jamie had unknowingly eaten it, which led to him being poisoned. As I spoke, the shock and disbelief on their faces mirrored my own feelings. Mill and Phil exchanged glances, clearly concerned, while Harry's expression changed from confusion to anger. I went on to tell them about my fear of Sil's motives and how she had tried to harm me before. I admitted I was hesitant to share this, fearing what it might mean for me and our unborn child. Mill, being the practical person she is, immediately suggested checking the security camera footage. Phil nodded in agreement, seeing how serious the situation was. Harry, though clearly upset, stayed quiet, taking in the shocking news. After watching the security footage from their camera app, the truth was undeniable. The video showed Sil offering me the poisoned plate and everything that happened afterward, leading to Jamie getting sick. The evidence was clear. Emotions were high as the realization hit us. Harry, now fully aware of his sister's evil intentions, struggled to control his anger. Mill and Phil were horrified by their daughter's actions, shocked at how far she had gone to cause trouble. We all sat stunned in silence, trying to understand why she would do something like this. Following this revelation, my in-laws decided to give the evidence to the police, since this is a very serious matter. Then Phil and Harry will go and meet with Jamie once he recovers, as he is the one who needs to press charges against Sil. I have no idea how Jamie will react. I want to cry every time I think about how I let him take the poisoned plate that was meant for me. I haven't been able to sleep or eat properly because I'm so worried about him. I will update you when something important happens. Update 3. Okay guys, I am finally back with an update. I know it has been a month since my last update, but I'm a pregnant woman who is going through a lot right now. First things first, my in-laws gave the recording to the police, and after watching the evidence, she was arrested. Kayla didn't even deny the charges. She immediately burst into tears and admitted everything. Harry talked to Jamie about what happened, and Jamie was just as shocked as we were. Harry urged him to press charges against his sister, saying it was a truly evil thing to do, and told him that no matter what he chose, he would always be a part of our family. In the end, after Jamie recovered, he not only decided to press charges, but he also filed for divorce. Kayla called Mill and Phil, crying and begging them to forgive her. It turns out that Kayla is actually pregnant herself. She begged them to bail her out, trying to manipulate them by saying they should do it for the sake of their grandchild. Phil firmly told her they were done coddling her and that she finally needed to take responsibility for her actions. Mill is very sad about what is happening to her daughter, but she understands that what Kayla did cannot just be forgiven. The police found evidence that she had messed with the food, planning to harm me. This backfired and ended up hurting her husband instead. She's been charged with several crimes related to tampering with food, endangering a life, and causing harm. She's been begging Jamie not to press charges, saying it was all my fault anyway. But thankfully, Jamie doesn't care. He's determined to see her punished. Her court hearing will start soon. I don't think she can get away with it this time. Meanwhile, for everyone asking, my son and I are doing okay. He has no idea what his aunt did. Harry and I have talked, and we plan to sit down with him and tell him the truth. We want our son to know and be aware of these kinds of situations. I know it will be a difficult but very necessary conversation to have with a little one. I'm also getting regular ultrasound scans every 2 weeks during my pregnancy, as my doctor advised. We don't plan on finding out the baby's gender yet. We want it to be a surprise. My parents know what happened with Kayla and have become very protective of me. They're worried this might affect my emotional well-being during the pregnancy, so they're encouraging me to go to therapy. I agree with them. Even though I'm acting normally, I've developed a deep fear after what Kayla did to my food. I'm afraid of eating any food from outside or anything I haven't made myself. Harry understands my fear and is there for me every step of the way, so hopefully, I can get over this irrational fear soon. Update 4. It's been 8 months since I last updated. Kayla is currently serving time in prison. She was found guilty of the charges. I never went to her court hearings, but my in-laws sometimes did. They told me how Kayla admitted in court that she had been jealous of me for years because she never wanted an outsider to marry her brother. She had always dreamed that one of her best friends would marry Harry, which is why she always tried to bully me when he started dating me. When we announced we were pregnant during Harry's birthday party, she was filled with jealousy because she was about to announce her pregnancy too. She had suffered a miscarriage previously, so she wanted to share her good news, but she thought we stole her moment to shine. So, according to her, because of her pregnancy hormones, she got so angry that she mixed a small amount of rat poison into my food. She admitted she just wanted me to end up in the hospital and never intended to physically harm me or the baby. She said she never expected I would give my plate to her husband and that I basically poisoned her husband, so she deserved a lighter sentence. Of course, the judge didn't agree with her and she was sentenced to prison. She'll be out of our lives for quite some time. Jamie has also successfully divorced her, so he is finally free as well. We've seen him over the months and continue to include him in our family activities whenever we can. Jamie and I have talked, and I apologize deeply for giving him my plate, but he assured me it was never my fault. I started to cry when I heard that because I had been replaying it in my head over and over, wishing I could have done things differently so he wouldn't have been poisoned. I'm glad that Jamie is doing okay now. As for Harry and me, we've welcomed a baby girl into our family. Despite the lingering shadows of the past, our daughter's presence has brought warmth and light into our lives. Our son Nate is thrilled about being a big brother and has been showering his little sister with affection and love. Watching our children bond fills our hearts with gratitude. Throughout all this, my parents and in-laws have been there for us, helping us navigate this new chapter in our lives.